Okay, we're working on question 4. Open up your Excel file and go back to the Data Spreadsheet tab. That's the one we always start from. So today we're going to be working on question 4, the amount spent on a visit to this fast food restaurant. So some people spent somewhere between $1 and $5, some people spent $6 to $10, and so on. So, while you're in this tab, we're going to select these 55 values, and we're going to have Excel count how many of each there are by inserting a pivot table. So click on Insert and Pivot Table, click OK, click the box next to Amount Spent. If you're on a Mac, you might have to drag this down into the rows box, but on mine it's already there. And we want to drag it down into the values box so that it counts them. Now, if you look at what I have here, there should be 5 of these. Something's wrong, and there are 6 of them. Can you see what's wrong? There's 2 separate categories, one for 1 to 5 with spaces and one for 1 to 5 without. That's because when I was entering my data, I was not careful to type in all the entries exactly the same way. So the ones down here had 1 to 5 without any spaces. This one here I put in as 1 to 5 with spaces. So I'm going to have to combine those. So if you look, there's a total of 2 plus 12. So 14 of the responses that said 1 to 5. So I'm going to write that down. You can't see it on the screen, but I'm writing that down on a piece of paper, that there were 14 people or 14 responses that said 1 to 5. Now look how many there were that said 6 to 10. There were 11 of those, so I'm writing that down. Then there were 6 11 to 15s. There were 8 16 to 20s. And there were 16 21 to 25s. So I need those 5 numbers. How many, the frequency for each of those 5 categories, 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15, 16 to 20, and 21 to 25. So write those down on a piece of paper, and now click on, it should be the last tab, the one that's labeled Amount Spent. And if you scroll up to the top, here's a little table where we're going to be entering those 5 frequencies. So type them in the way you wrote them down. So for the first class, 1 to 5, the frequency was 14. So I'm going to go to cell E3 here, and I'm going to type in the number 14. Then in the one below that, I'm going to type 11, and then 6, and then 8, and then 16. And now this sheet here I'm pretty much done with. I don't have to do anything with that. That was just sort of temporarily to help me know how many of each there were. But I'm going to go ahead and rename this as Q4 Pivot to remind me of what that was. So going back to the amount spent page, we have the frequencies here, but we also want the cumulative frequencies. So the first cumulative frequency should be the same as the first frequency, which would be, for mine it's 14, for yours it might be a different number. Then the second cumulative frequency would be the 14 plus the 11. Now I can just add those myself and type in what the number is, which would be 25. Or I can put it in like this, equals E3 plus E4 and have Excel to do the addition for me. Then the next cumulative frequency would be that plus 6. So 14 plus 11 plus 6 would be 31. I could just type in the number. I could type in equals E3 plus E4 plus E5. Or I could type in equals sum, that is SUM, and then in parentheses, E3 colon E5. So that asks Excel to give me the sum of those three numbers in those three cells. And then here, this would be the sum of E3 through E6. And the last one would be the sum of E3 through E7. So there's my 5 cumulative frequencies. Right now, they're not centered. So I'm going to select all of these and center them by clicking on both of these center buttons, the one to do it vertically and horizontally. Now I'm going to click in cell E8, just single click there. And while I've got that cell selected, I'm going to go up here near the top over on the right where it says Auto Sum and click that. And then just hit Enter. I'm hitting the Enter key and the number 55 shows up, which is the sum of the numbers in this column. And I'm going to go ahead and center that as well, so it looks nice and centered in the cell. And I'm just going to click Save to save what I have so far, so in case something happens, I haven't lost the work I've done yet. Now we're going to go over here and complete or fill in this second table. So this column here is for the midpoints. So I'm going to click in cell H3 and type in equals parenthesis B3 plus D3, close parentheses, divided by 2. So I asked Excel to give me the midpoint of this class by taking this number here, which is 1, plus this number here, which is 5, add those together, which would be 6, and divide by 2, which gives me 3, halfway between them. And then by using that little square down in the bottom right corner, I'm going to click on that and drag it down through the rest of those to get the midpoints of all of those classes. So 3, 8, 13, 18, and 23 are my midpoints of my classes. Now to fill in the frequency times midpoint column, I'm clicking in cell I3 and I'm going to type equals E3 times H3. And the times is the asterisk. It's what you get if you hold down the Shift key and type the or the 8 button. So that multiplied together the frequency times the midpoint for that column. And then I'm going to copy down to the rest of those. And then I'm going to click below in cell I8 and then click the Auto Sum button again, hit Enter, and it will add up all the numbers in that column. Now, I'm going to fill in this last column for frequency times midpoint squared. So here I'm going to click in cell J3 and I'm going to type equals E3 times H3 squared. So that's the symbol you get if you hold down Shift and type the 6 button. It's the caret or the up pointy symbol that means raising something to a power. So I've asked Excel for the number in cell E3 times the number in cell H3 squared. And you don't really need any parentheses anywhere. That'll work just the way it is. And then I'm going to copy that down to fill it into those other cells in that column. And then I'm going to click below there in cell J8 and then click the auto sum button, hit enter, and it will add up those numbers. So those 5 numbers add up to 12,900. So notice what everything looks like right now. By the way, I noticed there's like a missing border here. If that bothers you, you can click on this and then go up here and click top border. And now that's fixed. If you don't do that, I'm not going to worry about it, but that makes it look a little neater. Okay, now we're going to fill in some of these numbers here. So to get the mean, I'm going to click in cell G10 and type equals the letter I followed by the number 8 divided by E8. And it didn't evaluate that, and I think what happened is this up here said text. It should say general. So I went back and changed it to general, and I'm going to try this again. I'm going to type it again as equals I8 divided by E8. There. That looks good. It gave me the result of the calculation. The mean is about 13.09 something. But I don't want all those decimal places. I want it rounded to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to click that again. And make sure you're in the Home tab. And then go up here. And this button right here is to decrease decimal. So I'm going to click that enough times so that what shows up here is a number just with 1 digit after the decimal point, just rounded to the nearest tenth. So it's showing the mean as 13.1. Yours might be a different number, but it should look something like this. Now for the variance. I'm going to click down here in cell G11, and I'm going to type equals parenthesis J8 minus I8 to the second power divided by E8 close parentheses divided by parenthesis E8 minus 1 close parentheses and hit enter. That formula is in the written instructions, so you can look at the instructions on Canvas that I have posted there, print them out if you have a printer, and it'll tell you exactly what to put in for the formula, but it looks like that. And now for the standard deviation, I'm going to click below that in cell G12 and type equals SQRT, which of course stands for square root, and then parenthesis G11. So that gives me the square root of the number that was in cell G11. And then I want that to be just showing 1 digit after the decimal point. So I'm clicking on that and then going up and clicking decrease decimal until there's just 1 digit after the decimal point. So here it shows us 8.0. Now I need to give the range and the modal class. So the range is 1 to 25. I'm going to type that in. So in cell G13, I'm typing in 1 to 25, but it interpreted that as a date. It thought I meant 125 as in January 25th. So I need to fix that. So while I'm in this cell, I'm going to go up here and change from custom to text, what's down at the bottom of that drop-down menu. And now that this is formatted as text, I'm going to go back and change this to what it should have been, 125. And there we go. So the range is 1 to 25. Now for the modal class, that's the class with the highest frequency. For me, it's 21 to 25. For you, it might be a different one, but whichever class has the highest frequency is the modal class, so we want to type that in here. And it looks okay, but if yours didn't, you'd have to go back up here and change this to text the way we did here. So I'm going to save what I have for now, and I'll come back in a second video and tell you how to do the histogram that we still need to do for all of this.